We should do those things. But immigration is easy. There are people begging to come into this country. If we did what I suggested and, tack on an extra fee or so and brought in a lot of immigrants, we could use some of that money for immigration enforcement. We could use some of this money for border enforcement. We could do all that. But we also could then have the resources to do other things. Keep low taxes, for example. The Trump tax 2017. Are we going to maintain that or not? All those problems don't totally disappear, but they're eased enormously by immigration. We should do it. Right on.
Just with regard to we need to help the American people, just looked it up. There are already thousands of government training programs. So that's not where the shortage is or the problem is. Every time, like NAFTA, when they put it in, the first thing they did was create hundreds of training programs. And I assure you, they're not effective. But that is said, what do you say to Steve Miller? I mean, we're all mostly in agreement, but what can we say to him?
Look, Stephen Miller's a friend of mine. I worked on the campaign with him in 2016. He's a smart guy. He and I don't necessarily see eye to eye on immigration. I think what we need to do is, the tricky issue is, what do you do about illegal immigrants who are here working? And they haven't broken any laws except coming in illegally. I don't know what the best solution to that is. I don't think deporting them is necessarily the right situation. I do believe we should deport the bad actors. But look, most of the immigrants in this country are legal. They're not illegal. And so my view is competition is a good thing, that Americans have to compete with immigrants raises everybody's game. Just like in the NBA, having the top people. The one thing I would add to what you were saying is that if you look over time, what you tend to find is immigrants, when they come in, all the qualities that you described: hardworking, incredibly industrious, often entrepreneurs, starting little businesses. But one of the greatest benefits of immigrants is the children of immigrants, because the children of immigrants tend to be unbelievably successful in the country, and then you get a regression to the mean. And so if you don't have immigrants, you're not going to have the children. So when you talk, in the study, we talk about all these businesses that were started by immigrants. Many of them were, but even more were started by the children of immigrants. So I don't know if you have anything to
Yeah, I mean, Henry Ford was a child of an immigrant.
I didn't know that.
Did you know that? Yeah, I must admit, I didn't know that myself, but he was born in Nova Scotia or somewhere. His father was or something. Generation after generation of people, of great entrepreneurs. Who are the great entrepreneurs? We mentioned Carnegie a little bit ago. A lot of them are immigrants, but a lot of them are children of immigrants. Of the 47, one of our factoids here, about half of those people running Fortune 500 companies are immigrant or their children. About half of those are the kids. It's not the immigrants, it's the kids. That is the ultimately most successful generation in history. After the second, as Steve says, after the second generation, they learn American habits and become a little less entrepreneurial, a little less hardworking. The first generation works like the dogs, but they don't often have the language skills, the interacting skills. They don't have the top jobs, so they're at a bit of a disadvantage. They overcome a lot of it in the course of their time here.
Just quickly, I believe we need comprehensive immigration reform which addresses all these elements. I think some of it can be handled by visa activities, but you need a pathway and a process in place where people come, they spend a certain amount of time on an immigration status, and then they build their ability to eventually possibly move to legal status and the citizenship. Some people say, well, we never want to be their citizens, but I believe it's sort of like the rental car thing. Do you want to own the car or do you want to rent the car? And the people who own the car seem to take care of it better than the people who rent the car. So I think when you talk about people being here and having a right to achieve citizenship at some point, you're creating a bedrock institutional value there that lives on forever and ever. If you never let them have that option, then they don't go there. But I think a lot of people were just happy to come because we are the best place in the world to live and work and to succeed. The American dream still is alive, and people want that. So I think there's plenty of opportunities. But we have to have comprehensive immigration reform, well thought out, and put into law because all these little programs are burdensome, bureaucratic, difficult, time-wise to get done. When you try to bring somebody in from the country, it's a bureaucratic mess, and you spend fortunes on paperwork and legal processes, and it's very aggressive. We just can't operate that way.
So, we have a bunch of visa programs that should be expanded. We have the H-1B program, which is a no-brainer. Those are the brainiacs, the people working in Silicon Valley. Although some people oppose that program, I don't quite understand why. But these are, highly skilled computer experts and technology people and engineers. So, wouldn't you agree that's pretty much a no-brainer? Yeah. It's all gravy to us. It's a huge benefit to the country. But then you have, you want to stop illegal immigration? Let's have an agriculture program. When we did that in the 50s and early 60s, we had zero illegal immigration. So I do believe zero program, right? So now that got a bad name because some of the abuses of the program, but for the most part, it was successful. We also need, I mentioned the EB-5 program. Why wouldn't we let people who want to come in, invest $1 million or $2 or $3 million, go into an inner city? We have a lot of examples in our piece about these amazing businesses that have been started, and it gets to your point about what will we be doing for the native-born Americans. Well, if you invest $1 million in inner city Detroit and you help create jobs there, that's going to benefit natives. So, but I agree with you entirely. We need more people.
One thing on just the quality of the immigration people status is I'm on the board of MD Anderson and the board of visitors in Houston, largest leading cancer center in the world. 1 in 6 of our scientists are born in the United States. One in 6 born. 1 in 6. All 5 others outside the United States.
5 out of 6 are
One
foreign
of the
born.
6 are born in the United States.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, any more? We're running out of time. Hold on, let me.
Why wasn't education included in your study? We've got 1.1 million international students studying in the U.S. They bring tremendous value to our economy, and they've been educated and learned language, all of that. Why wouldn't we want to pursue them into legal immigration pathways?
Well, yeah, somehow I'm responsible for leaving that out, I guess. I don't know, Steve. Don't blame me. No, it's a good question. As a university professor, I don't know how any university, we're finding this with this Trump attempt to end foreign visas and so forth. Harvard, would not exist without foreigners. And even my little rinky-dink mid-quality state university in the middle of Appalachia, we would die if we didn't have immigrants here. So we should, and why didn't we do it in the study? I don't know. Well, I do know. We wanted to get this thing out in a timely fashion. We had a little bit of time, and we had limited resources. If we could make this 50 pages instead of 25 or 30, we also wanted a study that was easy for people to read and they could read quickly. And, yeah, we would have. It's a great suggestion.
So, just a couple quick points. One is I want to thank the people who made this study possible. One was our support of this. Another is Stand Together. So thanks so much for all this. And then we have a referral conference. So we're very grateful for their financial support in this. And hopefully this will be the first of many studies. And you make a good point about, we bring these people to some of the top universities around the world, then we make them go home. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's just stupid.
Stupid.
Okay, we've got time for one or two more quick questions. Somebody who hasn't, then you will promise that.
these facts presented. But it looks to me like the arguments are having to swim upstream in today's environment. Somebody said, how do you sell it to Stephen Miller? But it goes way beyond that, because there seems to be a perception in the public immigration is bad and NAFTA is bad, and both concepts are wrong. I worked on the framework agreement that led up to NAFTA, and I know a little bit about it. And that's my one point of major divergence with our president. But how do we sell these arguments?
I don't think that's true. And I think the studies are pretty clear. Americans love our heritage. They understand the contributions of the administration. Now, there are some who feel very strongly that way. But I do think, on balance, these estimates, I think most people say yes. The problem is that